Hey everyone, welcome to the first house church video of the summer. And we shifted gears on Sunday. We're going to be reading through the book of Isaiah, and what I didn't mention on Sunday, aside from it helping us to see the big storyline of Scripture, it's also one of the books that Mark had in mind as he wrote the book of Mark. So when we return to Mark in the fall, our experience will be that much richer because we'll have some of the same images and ideas and themes in our mind as we work our way through Isaiah. It might be kind of tough slogging here and there, but stick with it because it's going to be rewarding as you work through it. On Sunday, though, we talked about two types of Christians, love it or list it Christians. And I argued that it was an important choice that Christians needed to make about what storyline they were going to see in Scripture. Was it going to be a storyline where essentially God is planning to abandon the planet and take us somewhere else, and that would be list it, as in sell it kind of thing, or is he going to love creation, take care of creation? Does he have plans for it? Is he going to renew it? And my question to you was, are you going to be a love it or a list it Christian? My light bulb moment as I sorted through this stuff was that the love it storyline is actually the one that fits the Bible cover to cover. So if you have this still, we went through it on Sunday in your house church, then talk through it as a house church and look where the light bulb might have gone on for you. Ask each other questions that you may have. I think perhaps the list it story fits in there. It's basically the crucifixion, resurrection part of things. But the broad storyline that takes us right through all of what God is doing in history is broader than that. And then my conviction was to call that the blessing line, that if you live on that line that connects our current world with the world to come, if you live in line with how the Spirit is trying to renew all things, then it's on that path of God's commands that your happiness is found. And my conviction in my life is that when I have gotten rid of just a narrow listed narrative about extracting human beings from the planet and began to live in the fullness of what the Spirit is doing to renew the whole planet, I've been consistently surprised by happiness. And one of the most delightful surprises is in the places where I've sacrificed. I didn't want to talk about it on Sunday because the kids were sitting there, but in February, we brought these two boys into our house into foster care, and we've had them for a while. We're going to have them for some time, it would seem. And that's sacrifice. But man, I have never felt happier. I've never felt closer to that line as I've changed my life for the sake of somebody else. So that's not me saying rah rah for me. In fact, it's been kind of funny. Lots of people have been like, really, you're so selfish. Why would you do that? It's not like I'm candidate number one for this stuff in people's minds. So maybe it makes it more real if a selfish guy like me can, in a decisive moment of grace, decide to open himself up and has reaped so much blessing internally and intimacy with the Spirit as he's moved a little bit closer to that line, then so can you. So I'm not sharing out of strength. I'm sharing out of a broken humility that is delighted by what God is doing as I try to pour myself out and break myself for Him. So that should be some good fodder there for conversation. Also, though, is our 1% challenge. And if you weren't there on Sunday, this is basically, in the short version, is for you to consider giving 1% more to the church than you are. This is to help people who aren't giving anything, and it seems so overwhelming to get towards something that honors God like a tithe. How do you go from 0 to 10? It can be tough, but you can go from 0 to 1, and that represents sacrifice and stretch, and there's still going to be some reward in that. You can go from 3 to 4, you can go from 7 to 8. So, man, if you're really gutsy in your house church, you can talk about that stuff, like what percentage are you at now, and do you want to be accountable? If you're kind of, I was going to say lame that way, but maybe that's harsh. If you're just scared of sharing that kind of detail, or you're embarrassed or whatever, then dance around it however you do in your house church, but still try and get some traction there so that you can all grow. So yeah, have fun with this one. I'll see you next week.